Everybody understands flipping houses, right? Lots of TV shows on that. Buy low, fix it up, sell high. But when I tell people you can flip businesses the same way, they kind of tilt their head like, wait, you can do that? The truth is, it's actually the same game. The paint job isn't drywall, it's cash flow. The plumbing isn't the copper pipes, it's the systems. And the staging isn't furniture, it's clean books and a believable growth story. So think about that for a second. It can be done. Hi, I'm John Stoddard from DealFlowSystem.net. I've helped buyers close over 33 million deals and raise 50 million funding. If you're working full-time or want to buy a business without wasting years on junk deals, you should hit that subscribe button right now and watch this video. Because today, I'm going to give you a step-by-step playbook for flipping businesses. I'll show you how to spot an undervalued deal, what to do in the first 90 days, and the rules that protect you from losing your shirt. And what I'll do is I'll share 3 stories, one about a student who bought a little screen business in California, and one about my own flip in a hearing aid e-commerce space, and another about a podcast guest, Michael Barislowski, whose very first flip was a $120 content site. So let's get into this. All right, step 1, you got to source the deal, right? You got to find that ugly duckling. So the first rule of flipping is simple, and never forget the first rule. The profit is in the purchase. Because if you overpay, no fix is going to save you. That's why you're looking for ugly ducklings, like the owner-operator who hasn't marketed in years. Maybe they don't have a website, something like that. Maybe they're not emailing anybody. The business with messy books and no systems, or the guy running his vacations and truck payments through P&L. It's just like a house with shag carpet and avocado appliances. Most people walk in, they go, oh my God, this is ugly, and they walk away. But if you know what to look for, you can see the hidden equity in this. And let's just say, if it looks too clean, like things are already fixed up, the kitchen's redone or something, and it's a night pace job, odds are somebody else has already pulled the upside out of that deal. All right, step 2, buy at a discount. So this is the flipper's mantra. You don't make money when you sell, you make money when you buy. In this business, that means buying at 1 to 2 times EBITDA when the market rewards 3 to 4. That spread is called the multiples arbitrage. And it's the engine that makes flipping businesses work. But there is a catch to this. There's always a catch. And there's a risk. You have to reverse that risk. Well, let me give you an example. This is the story I told you about. One of my students looked at a screen installation company in California. $400,000 in sales. It's been around for 30 years. Crappy name. Only $39,000 in profit. Most buyers passed. Had it on the market for a while. You know, it was a bad situation. The owner died, and the margins are too thin, too risky. But me and the student, we struck it for $80,000. Seller finance, paid directly out of cash flow. That's buying at 2 times earning with the seller as the bank. You see the difference there? Instead of you taking all the risk on a very risky opportunity, let the seller carry part of it. If the business can't even pay its own note, I mean, that's a red flag. But if it does, you've essentially built a safety net into the deal. Having presented with that, I always like to ask questions to my audience. Would you walk away from that right now? Or would you grab the keys and start making changes? Just curious, put a comment down below. All right, let's say you get this business. And this is step 3, quick wins, first 90 days. You know, most house flippers not going to gut the whole place because that's major construction. But they do paint and they add curb appeal. That's the same thing with business. In the first 90 days, you're after the fast wins that move the needle. And at the core are Jay Abraham's 3 ways to grow a business. Do you know, does everybody know who Jay Abrahams is? Guy worth looking into. So his 3 ways to grow a business. Number 1, increase the number of customers, right? That's just sending more customers to your website, cost of acquisition. That is just turning your ad spend, right? Start spending on Facebook more, start spending on Google more, start spending on Yelp more, wherever it is that drives customers, just start driving more customers to you. And number 2, increase the size of the purchase. That means bundling products, like adding upsell. Everybody knows the story about McDonald's, right? If somebody just buys the burgers, and they always ask, would you like fries with that? The computer does it now, but it's there. Add upsells, create premium tiers, turn a $100 transaction into a $130 transaction. It actually reduces your cost of acquisition. Number 3, increase the frequency of purchase. Start building subscriptions. Look at that email list and go, how can I offer more products to them more frequently? We've seen deals where they collected 400,000 emails and they were never emailing them. They should be emailing, maybe test it out. Maybe they could be emailing like once a month or twice a week. See what you can do here. Offer service contracts or launch refill programs. Now, that's the big one here, selling more to existing customers. And this is the easy, quick win fix. Think about this. If you have 1,000 customers and each one is worth $300 a year, that's $300,000 in revenue. But if you can get those same 1,000 customers to spend $400 a year without a single new buyer and no extra marketing costs, just more emails, that's $100K in pure upside. That's no marketing spend, no new staff, just better leverage of the customer base you already own. Now, that's the equivalent of staging a house so it sells for $50K more without touching the foundation. All right, so here's a couple other things you could do for fast wins. Immediately, raise prices. It's usually you see these old businesses, they haven't raised prices in a year. Now, if you increase a 5 to 10% bump, go straight to the bottom line. And you know that California screen business, a 10% increase nearly doubled margins overnight. All right. Also, cut expenses like vendors, insurance, software, utilities. Did you know a 10% trim could almost double profit in a thin margin business? That's if all your expenses are 90% of your revenue. You could do that. And lastly, marketing ignition. Refresh that website, run retargeting ads, and those are cheaper and better click-through rate. Launch simple Google or Facebook campaign for $50 a day. Don't overthink that. Speed beats perfection. And here's the street smart rule. Cash flow will cover your mistakes. If the business throws off cash, you have room to test and a little bit of room to fail. And you could still come out ahead. Let me give you a personal example. I bought a small e-commerce business in the hearing aid space. I paid $100,000 for it. At first glance, it wasn't pretty. It had messy books, messy website, a lot of personal expenses buried in the P&L, and an owner who just wasn't straight with me on a lot of things. But once I cleaned it up, once I established trust with customers, normalized earnings, cut waste, dialed in the marketing, I narrowed it down to just 3 products, good, better, and best, and created how-to videos and retargeted those how-to videos on Facebook and Google. The business started to hum. Here's the payoff. Between the steady cash flow I pulled out while running it and the exit check I sold, I walked away with over $700,000 total. Think about that. I turned a $100K investment into $700K. That's a 7x return. And I didn't invent anything new. I just followed the same playbook. Buy smart, tighten operations, and package it for the next buyer. That's flipping. Now, let me tell you about another story with one of my podcast guests, Michael Baraslawski, Flip. He had a digital win here. His very first deal wasn't a laundromat, wasn't a car wash. It was a content site he bought for $120. $120. That's it. And he ran the same playbook. He added more content because the content is square footage of a website. More articles equals more traffic. And he monetized better. He monetized the site with added affiliate links, earnings per visitors doubled. And he cleaned up the SEO. He fixed the site speed, the broken links, updated old posts, and Google rewarded with more traffic. And he built an email list. The seller never had one. That's when he discovered the golden rule. Recurring revenue is flipper's gold. And just like that house with rental units for more, a business with subscription, contracts, or repeat customers will always command a premium. And you know what he sold that for? His first one? $2,400. Pretty nice return for his first little tiny business, right? All right, step number 4, add systems. This is the structural work. Now you move from paint to plumbing. This is the standard operating procedures or KPIs and training anybody that's working with you. This is all invisible to customers, but to the next buyer, it's everything, because they're looking for something easy to run. And here's the rule to this. You're looking for lazy operators, not dying industries, right? Tailwinds versus headwinds. If it's going out of business, like, hey, content sites, like I write stories for you. Well, AI is doing that for everybody now. You can fix bad management with systems, but you can't fix a business where demand is disappearing. Step 5. Now it's time to reposition the business. This is like in house flipping staging. You take the same walls, but you tell a different story. Maybe you niche it down, like becoming the cleaning service for medical offices. Or maybe you bundle offerings so customers spend more. Or maybe you turn one-off sales into recurring subscriptions. That's the goal, right? This is how you turn a commodity business into a sticky brand buyers want to pay for. All right, step 6, polish and the stage for sale. Now you package it, right? It's got to have a nice looking website, got to have clean books, documented systems, a believable growth plan, email collections in place, cost of acquisitions in place. This is where a business you bought at 1 to 2x, suddenly looks worth maybe 3, possibly more. All right, step 7, this is exit. This is the day where you sell. This is a story, Kenny Rogers, know when to hold them, know when to fold them, right? You've done your work, move on. Don't look for the biggest buyer. Just look for what, the value you get out of it. And maybe it's a strategic buyer. Maybe it's an investor. Maybe a roll-up that wants to bolt your company onto their platform. Some flips you hold for 3 to 4 months, depending on what your industry looks like. Some you could hold longer, for a year. That's the quick cosmetic turn. You cleaned it up, you staged it, and you moved on. Other flips you hold on 3 to 5 years. That's when you rebuilt the whole foundation. You added systems, layered in recurring revenue, and positioned it for, a higher end buyer. But here's the rule to that. Flip fast, hold smart. Know when to hold them, know when to fold them. Having said that, let's do some math of what that looks like, because this is where flipping businesses, it's really fun. Say you bought a business at 1.5x multiple. That means that the business made $200,000 a year, you paid $300,000. Now you stage it, you add systems, you grow cash flow a little, and then you sell it for a 3.5x multiple. Suddenly, that same $200K in earnings is worth $700,000. That's a $500,000 delta there, right? You doubled your money plus. Not because you doubled the business size, but because you doubled the multiple. That's the multiples arbitrage, and that's the game with this flipping. And when you sell, you don't just get a check. What you do it again. Wash, rinse, and repeat. One flip turns into 5 flips turns into portfolio. That's how you build the real wealth in the business flipping space. All right, so let me ask you. You're looking at a lot of businesses out there. Biz, buy, sell, acquire. If you saw a business doing 400 grand in sales and only 39 grand in profit, and the seller offered to finance it for $80,000, would you buy it and flip it? That's the essence of this game. You're not buying perfection. You're buying potential. Now, you're not going to get an SBA lender to come in and say, I'm buying the business. They're just not going to finance it. So you have to reverse the risk and get them to do the bank or bring your own money or bring investors. All right. If you found this video useful, smash that subscribe button. And if you're serious about buying your first business, head over to dealflowsystem.net. That's where I show you how to find, fund, and close your first deal the smart way. I'm John Stoddard. I'll see you on the next one.